Sean Combs is a monster.
I want to speak about this now because I've witnessed everything.
When Peacock announced Diddy, The Making of a Bad Boy, it wasn't just a documentary, it was a reckoning. The release of the trailer for Diddy, The Making of a Bad Boy, sent ripples through Hollywood and the broader entertainment industry. It wasn't just another celebrity documentary. Instead, it positioned itself as a raw, unflinching exposé of the power structures that have long defined the entertainment world. The trailer, clocking in at just over 2 minutes, was packed with tension, emotion, and moments that forced viewers to confront uncomfortable truths. The trailer opens with a montage of flashing lights, roaring crowds, and the unmistakable figure of Sean "Diddy" Combs at the height of his career. The music builds, a pulsating beat reminiscent of his iconic tracks, before abruptly cutting to silence. Then a voice breaks through, a former employee, their face shrouded in shadow, saying, "We knew what was happening, but no one dared to speak up." From this moment, the trailer pivots from the glamorous facade of Diddy's empire to the darker hidden layers. Testimonies from former employees, collaborators, and alleged victims are interspersed with archival footage, creating a haunting juxtaposition between the public image of a mogul and the private allegations of manipulation, exploitation, and abuse. Each voice in the trailer adds another layer to the narrative, painting a picture of a man whose influence and power allowed him to operate with impunity. One particularly chilling moment in the trailer features a former record label executive recounting an incident. He walked into the room and everyone froze. It wasn't fear of losing their jobs, it was fear of losing themselves. This single statement encapsulates the broader themes of the documentary: the way power can corrupt, the way privilege can shield, and the way complicity can perpetuate harm. As the trailer progresses, it becomes clear that this is not just a story about Diddy. It's a story about an industry that thrives on power imbalances, where the lines between ambition and exploitation blur. The final moments of the trailer show a victim tearfully stating, "It wasn't just him, it was everyone who let it happen." The screen fades to black, and the words "A reckoning is coming" appear in bold white letters. Analysis of testimonies and themes. The testimonies presented in the trailer are a microcosm of the broader issues explored in the documentary. They reveal a pattern of behavior that is all too common in industries where power and privilege go unchecked. Former employees describe a toxic work environment where fear and loyalty are weaponized. Victims recount experiences of exploitation, often accompanied by feelings of helplessness and isolation. These accounts are not just personal stories. They are reflections of systemic issues that permeate the entertainment industry. The broader themes of power, privilege, and complicity are woven throughout the trailer. Power in this context is not just about influence or success. It's about control. It's about the ability to dictate the terms of engagement, to silence dissent, and to rewrite narratives. Privilege, on the other hand, is the armor that shields individuals from accountability. It's the reason why allegations are ignored, why victims are discredited, and why the cycle of abuse continues. Complicity, perhaps the most unsettling theme, is the glue that holds it all together. It's the silence of bystanders, the justifications of enablers, and the apathy of institutions. The trailer's effectiveness lies in its ability to confront these themes head-on. It doesn't shy away from uncomfortable questions. What happens when power is unchecked? How does privilege protect the guilty? And why do so many choose silence over justice? These are the questions that the documentary seeks to answer, and they are questions that Hollywood and society at large must grapple with. The industry's silence. Hollywood has always been a place where power reigns supreme, and silence becomes the cost of doing business. The entertainment industry has long been criticized for its culture of silence. From the casting couch scandals of the early 20th century to the Me Too movement of the 21st century, Hollywood has been a breeding ground for abuse, exploitation, and cover-ups. The case of Sean "Diddy" Combs is not an anomaly. It is a symptom of a much larger problem. To understand the culture of silence in Hollywood, one must first examine the power dynamics at play. At its core, Hollywood is a hierarchical industry. Success often depends on access, connections, and the goodwill of those at the top. This creates a dangerous imbalance, where those in positions of power can exploit those beneath them, with little fear of consequences. The fear of retaliation, whether it's losing a job, being blacklisted, or facing public humiliation, keeps many victims and witnesses silent. The documentary highlights this culture of silence through its exploration of not just Diddy's actions, but the actions or inactions of those around him. Former employees describe a code of silence within his organization, where speaking out was not just discouraged but actively punished. This mirrors the broader industry, where whistleblowers are often ostracized and victims are discredited. Examples of shielded figures in Hollywood. The documentary also draws parallels to other powerful figures in Hollywood who have been shielded from scrutiny. For decades, figures like Harvey Weinstein, Bill Cosby, and Roman Polanski operated with impunity, despite widespread knowledge of their actions. Their cases reveal a pattern: allegations are ignored, victims are silenced, and the industry rallies to protect its own. Harvey Weinstein. Harvey Weinstein is perhaps the most infamous example of Hollywood's culture of complicity. For years, rumors of his predatory behavior circulated within the industry, yet he remained one of its most powerful figures. It wasn't until the Me Too movement gained momentum that his actions were brought to light. The revelations about Weinstein exposed not just his crimes, but the network of enablers who facilitated his behavior, from assistants who arranged meetings with victims to executives who covered up allegations. Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby, once hailed as America's dad, was another figure who was shielded by his privilege and reputation. Despite multiple accusations of inappropriate behavior spanning several decades, Cosby managed to maintain his status as a beloved entertainer. It wasn't until the persistence of survivors and journalists brought renewed attention to his actions that he faced consequences. Roman Polanski. Roman Polanski's case is a stark reminder of how Hollywood's elite can rally to protect one of their own. After admitting to the wrongful actions involving a 13-year-old girl in 1977, Polanski fled the United States to avoid sentencing. Despite his crime, many in Hollywood continued to support him, with some even signing petitions calling for his pardon. Breaking the silence. The documentary argues that breaking the culture of silence requires systemic change. This includes stronger protections for whistleblowers, greater accountability for those in power, and a shift in the industry's values. It also requires a willingness to listen to survivors and to believe their stories, even when it's uncomfortable or inconvenient. In the final moments of the documentary, a survivor says, "Silence is what allowed this to happen. Speaking out is what will stop it." This statement serves as a call to action, not just for Hollywood, but for all industries where power and privilege create opportunities for abuse. Conclusion. Diddy, The Making of a Bad Boy is more than a documentary. It's a mirror held up to Hollywood, forcing it to confront its darkest truths. Through its exploration of power, privilege, and complicity, it challenges viewers to question not just the actions of one man, but the systems that allow those actions to go unchecked. It's a reckoning, not just for Diddy, but for an entire industry that has long prioritized silence over justice. As the credits roll, one thing becomes clear. The story doesn't end here. The real reckoning begins when the lights come up and we, as a society, decide how to respond. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more celebrity news, scandals, and behind-the-scenes stories. See you next time.